Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 73rd episode of the Triboro Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Alonso. Unfortunately, joined on the other side of Discord, Nicholas O'Brien. How you doing, Nicholas O'Brien?
I'm doing good. I'm still kind of moving back into home. You can't see, but my room is a mess. So thank God you only get to see so much of it. But yeah, I'm doing well. Back home. No more school. College over. WNHU studio. Forever lost. But never in our hearts.
Unit lost, but yeah. So, a lot of stuff happened for the Yankees. They have had a very, very, very active offseason. So, first off, Cody Bellinger. It finally happened. Took long enough. So, they traded Cody Poteet for Cody Bellinger and $5 million. Do you know how many career innings Cody Poteet has?
At least 2.
83. So you're literally giving up a guy that potentially may have even been DFA'd and not made out of spring training for Cody Bellinger. Is the definition of a salary dump.
Oh, absolutely. I'm shocked that the Yankees also got the $5 million, if I'm being honest. But yeah, Cody Poteet was nothing. I still think he's a really good pitcher. Has nothing to do with Poteet himself, but I mean, Cubs, what are we doing? Like, I understand it was a crowded outfield, and now you add Tucker, but, like, I don't know, man. At that rate, I think I might have just kept Bellinger, but I think they wanted to get under the luxury tax threshold, so
they were
whatever.
They were 100,000 over.
Like, fuck, it's bullshit. Bullshit. This is the problem with baseball.
Yeah.
Not Steve Cohen, not the Steinbrenner family, not the Dodgers, as annoying as they are.
What do you mean Steinbrenner family? Everyone's dead except Hal.
You know what I meant. I forgot which one was alive, so I just said Steinbrenner.
It's literally just Hal. Everyone else is dead.
How?
But
better?
Yeah, that's a lot better. I think part of it is just he may be. I think the only stadium that may have been a worse fit for him would have been Camden Yards.
Yeah.
Or not Camden Yards. Oracle Park. It's still Oracle, right?
Oh, Giants?
Yeah.
Yeah, Oracle.
Yeah, I think that's literally the only stadium that could have been a worse fit for him. And I'll get into that in a second, but just a little bit of contractual stuff. So they're getting $5 million. That's $2.5 million for this year, $2.5 million for next year. So he's making about $25 million this year. And I didn't know this, but he has a buyout next year. For the club option, or for the team option, or player option. Jesus Christ, Justin.
Last one.
He would make $21 million if he opted in. The Yankees have a buyout for $5 million, but since the Cubs are paying them $2.5 million for next year, it would only be a $2.5 million buyout. So essentially, this is if Cody Bellinger sucks, then he's gone. Like that's simple. So I really like the move overall. I think it's you could say what you want about the money. Yeah, sure, he's probably a little bit overpaid, but I think that you put him in Yankee Stadium, I think that you are getting a significantly better player than you had on the Cubs.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, obviously I'm not high on Bellinger whatsoever, but even, you can't deny the fit. It's perfect. Just get him to pull like 60% of his fly balls and you're cooking. But
yeah.
And he's going to give you like average to above average defense in center field, which is huge. Allows you to move Judge to right field, which I feel is even bigger than having Bellinger in center field. And then at the same time, obviously you'll get into it, but if he needs to, he can play first base.
And just getting into the defense, the defensive outfield is significantly better because you're going from Soto in right to Judge in right, where I believe Judge is a Gold Glover, like one of the best defensive right fielders in baseball. Then you go from Judge in center, which was not good, to Cody Bellinger, who's going to be an above-average center fielder, significant upgrade right there. And then you go from Alex Verdugo to Jason Dominguez, which personally I think is going to be a wash. So you're getting significantly better in the outfield defensively. So I think that's something that's not really being talked about that much. Just Bellinger is essentially replacing Judge, and Judge is replacing Soto.
Yeah. That's probably a good way to look at it. And to your point, he had, in 2022, he had 2 outs above average in right field. 23, he had -2.
22, I believe he played a lot of center field, though.
Yeah. And then in 24, in very limited time in right field, he had exactly 1 out above average.
Yeah. So he still can play right field. I think it's perfect for him still. You actually have the judges' chambers.
That's the biggest thing.
Now by far the biggest thing. Again. But getting into the fly ball rate, because you mentioned this. So he has a 46.1% fly ball rate, which I just had the numbers, but I crossed out of it, which is a lot higher than last year. And he pulled 36.4% of it. He had 55 batted balls that were pulled in the air, and that is 8th in baseball. So a lot of his pull numbers went up, which I think is part of the reason his numbers overall went down. Because he made the right adjustments just for the wrong stadium.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're pulling more at Wrigley as a lefty, your numbers are going to go down.
Absolutely.
So if he's pulling more as a lefty at Yankee Stadium, I think you're going to get a lot closer to 2023 than 2024 production.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same issue as Isaac Paredes. Like, even from the get, I mean, obviously it got them Tucker in the long run, but from the get-go, I hated that trade for the Cubs because
made no sense.
Paredes is just he is quite literally a pulled fly ball merchant. That's why he's always overperforming his underlying stats. But when you look at that stadium and you factor in the wind and just the dimensions, it's a horrible stadium to try to hit home runs in.
Especially as a lefty, too.
Exactly.
It has I have it right now, it has a 90 home run factor for lefties, which is the second worst in baseball. Yankee Stadium has 180. What's that? Probably
What's
Oracle.
The worst?
I'd bet Oracle. But Yankee Stadium had 118, which I believe was second best.
Yeah, I mean, checks out.
So it's a lot, and you look at his numbers, they reflect that. He had a 99 WRC plus at home, 117 on the road. So I think it literally just is a thing of getting him out of that ballpark is going to make him a better player, just overall, flat out. And you look at the pull numbers, because you mentioned Paredes, him, Bellinger, and Altuve have very similar pull numbers. It's... I believe he's kind of like a mixture of the both, where Altuve gets more barrels, Paredes gets more pull, but he's kind of like in between both of them as like that happy medium. Right. So yeah. I think that is because you put Altuve, I believe it was at Camden Yards, he hits 20 less home runs over the last 2 years, and you look at how good Altuve is for the Astros because he pulls the ball in Noah's ballpark. That is just part of the reason why Altuve is so good and is a borderline Hall of Famer because of that ballpark. And I'm not saying like, oh, the Crawford box merchant. I'm not saying anything like that to discredit him, but I'm just saying that's going to significantly help Cody Bellinger overall.
Absolutely.
And going into the home runs themselves, so we were talking about this before the show because I don't necessarily fully understand it, but he had 18 home runs last year. Baseball Savant said he would have had 24. But I looked at his spray chart, and if you count every single ball that was caught, was an out, would have been a double, would have been a triple, whatever, he would have had 31 home runs at Yankee Stadium. Obviously, he's not playing all 162, but he is playing 87 games at Yankee Stadium. So, for people wondering why I'm saying 87, is because they play 6 games against the Rays on the road. And Tampa Bay is playing at George M. Steinbrenner Field, which has identical dimensions to Yankee Stadium. So, I just love it.
I didn't even think about that. That's a good point.
I'm not even taking credit for that. Brian Cashman said it.
Really?
I'm not taking credit for that. Yeah. He said that in the press conference or when he was getting interviewed about Max Fried. He said that about like part of the reason why they traded for Bellinger.
Makes sense. I mean, again, you just play to your strengths.
But
makes the most sense.
Trying to look if there's much more. So I think something that's being talked about, but I think you can't quantify, is that he just wanted to be a Yankee. That he was literally begging Boris to get him traded to the Yankees, and Boris was calling Cashman saying like, "This guy will not shut up. Like, just take him." And
please.
I just think a combination of that, plus wearing his dad's number, and like you saw, like he already played in a big market in the Dodgers. I think that that's not nothing. You can't just brush it aside.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So, do you have anything else on Bellinger? Because I have a lot more big picture stuff later.
I'm sure. No, I think the Yankees did pretty well in the trade. Obviously, it's a lot of money to take on, but at the very least, it could be a one-year deal, which obviously I will never hate a one-year deal. But yeah, I think they did really good. Bellinger's an obvious fit, so definitely upgrades. Makes the team a little more well-rounded.
Yeah, definitely. Then the trade that came out of nowhere. I thought there was buzz that they may trade Trevino. I didn't really buy into that. But based off what they got for Trevino, I am on board. I love this trade. So they traded Jose Trevino for Fernando Cruz and Alex Jackson. Cruz has 4 years of control left, but I think something that you are going to absolutely love. He has 3 options. That is you. You
Amazing.
love your options, but
Amazing.
You could literally just throw out the ERA from. He had a 4.86 ERA in 2024, 3.27 FIP, 4.52 career ERA, 3.07 FIP. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but are the Reds that good of a defensive team?
To my knowledge, I don't believe so.
So that plus, we talked about ballpark for Bellinger. That's another thing for Fernando Cruz, too. You're putting him in a... not in a significantly better ballpark, but you're getting him out of the second most hitter-friendly ballpark in baseball.
Yeah,
and you're getting him
exactly.
into one that's more league average.
Yeah, it's not Great American, which is all that matters.
Yeah. But some of the numbers are just wild. Like in 2024, he was second in K per 9, and Devin Williams was first. But then going into his splitter may be the best pitch in baseball. Just from a run value standpoint. This is his splitter amongst pitches since 2022. .099 batting average, second in baseball. .094 expected batting average was first in baseball. 145 slugging, which first in baseball. 125 expected slugging, first in baseball. 58.4 whiff percentage, first in baseball.
Disgusting.
It may truly be the best pitch in baseball.
Make him Tommy Canley. All you need is the splitter.
I'm going to get into that, trust me. Because just, you look at it, his splitter in 2023 had an 11 run value. I know some people say like negative run value is better. Some people say positive is just based off like, it really is just what splitting hairs. Where like some people say like, oh, a negative run value is kind of how you're supposed to say, but on Baseball Savant, it has a positive run value as being a good thing.
Yeah.
That's so for argument's sake, when I say positive run value, that's going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
He had an 11 run value for a splitter in 2023 and 8 in 2024. And this year, 116 batted average, 149 slugging. It had a 65.2 strikeout percentage this year. It was the 99th percentile in baseball. Then getting into... You mentioned making him another Canley. They have to. Because do you know about his cutter?
Yeah. Throw it away. Throw it away.
He had, in 2024, he threw it 25.6% of the time, -9 run value. 2023, 23.9% of the time, -9 run value.
Unless you're changing the grip, just throw it away. It's not...
If you add up the expected slugging, the expected weighted on base, it's about 1250 against the cut. It's horrible. Out. But a pitch that I don't know why he kind of stopped using was the slider. Because his slider was a pretty solid pitch for him. In 2023, he only threw it 4.6% of the time. He had a 2 run value. So, I don't think it's a... You turn him into a splitter slider guy, because those also do complement each other relatively well. I think he honestly should use his slider more. Because if you get him to be a guy that's throwing his splitter, call it 50% of the time, and his sinker fastball isn't bad, and then you do like a fastball sinker, call it 25, then slider 25, I'm very happy with that overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if honestly you can keep the four seam. It's not terrible.
Because you need something straight. You need something to be straight.
Yeah, exactly. It's like just kind of like a strike pitch, or kind of like a get me over pitch. It doesn't have great batted numbers, but again, you can reshape it. You can change the grip, whatever you want to do with it. But honestly, just replace the cutter for slider, because at the end of the day, a cutter is just a harder slider. It's a tighter, harder slider. So if you kind of just take out the cutter, toss in the slider, I think that might be a pretty good change there. But yeah, I mean the splitter, yeah, it's insane. I don't understand how people make ball move so much.
It's like I'm literally just because I have like tweets up just like with some of the stats, and on replay it's just the Aaron Hicks whiffing on it. I'm sure you saw that clip.
Oh yeah.
It literally is just on replay, just that, and it doesn't make sense that with that movement where it starts that he still clips the corner of the zone.
Jesus.
So he also does have control issues, which I'm not gonna just scoff at, but also I feel like that's a Matt Blake special. Guy has control issues. Guy throws hard. Guy has disgusting pitch. We make him God. So I'm very excited, because Jose Trevino, you also did dump $5 million in salary, and at the end of the day, backup catcher. But I think a lot of people just shit on Trevino a lot more than he deserved. Give me a second. Sorry, if you could not tell, I'm sick, and I am hopefully muting my mic more often than not in time so you guys don't have to hear me cough. But a lot of people gave Trevino a lot more shit than he deserved. Like, yeah, he had a noodle arm, but he was also the best framer in baseball, top 3 defensive catcher in baseball, literally won the Platinum Glove in 2022. So that's another guy that gets a Viking funeral. Also, at the end of the day, was just a vibes guy. But the Reds are winning the World Series because Jose Trevino, did you see the clip of him?
No. Oh, wait, no.
So he went to some kids camp or youth thing or whatever, and he was talking about how hard it was to lose the World Series, and he said, but this time next year, I'll have a trophy in my hands.
Damn. Congratulations to the Cincinnati Reds.
Book it! But, no, in all seriousness, I'm going to miss him. Great guy. I think one of the better guys in baseball. Just when you like listen to him talk, like hear him talk about all the stuff he's just gone through, and how, especially like with his dad, and how that's made him just a more family man. Great guy. Definitely gonna suck to see him gone, but he wasn't as essential to the team as was. It's good trade. I'd do it every day. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I also think it just...
I forgot if you mentioned it or not, but he's a free agent after this year. So.
Yeah, that too.
Even more.
You're trading away 1 year Trevino for 4 years of Fernando Cruz.
And Alex Jackson.
I will get into him in a second. But just how it kind of affects everyone else is Austin Wells is now going to be the full-time catcher. No more platoon bullshit. So they obviously went away from that as the season went on. But Austin Wells was just him. If before he got hit in the hand, he was I think you could say he was the best offensive catcher in baseball before he got hit in the hand.
Maybe.
I don't even think it's that hard of a take.
I can't say no.
Because I remember talking about the numbers one. He had, ever since he was the starting catcher up until before that hand injury, he had the best numbers for a rookie in the AL at least, and just for a catcher. That includes offensively and defensively. So it's not hyperbole to say he was the best catcher in baseball for that span.
When did he get hit in the hand? Like
mid-September.
That August?
Mid-September.
Okay.
It was like September 13th sounds right. I'm looking this up now.
Okay.
Hit. I'm not going to be able to find it. I want to say like April 20th, around then is when he started everyday role. Why, are you looking at Fangraphs?
I am. Very quickly.
You can find it. Come on.
Austin. Oh,
You got
I'm
it.
not qualified. Where are you, Austin? How many at-bats did you have?
You can do it.
This is from the start of the season, so take it for what you will. Obviously, he didn't really play much at the beginning. But from the start of the season to September, I called it 8th, the week before he got hit.
Yeah.
He had the 5th highest weighted runs created plus for a catcher. Tied for 4th, really.
Mm-hmm.
Tied with Yander Diaz of the Astros, but he was at 5th with 119, only behind Wilson Contreras, and Joey Bart, who came out of nowhere for the Pirates. But no, very good.
And that's not even including his defensive numbers. Because is Bart that good defensively?
Yeah, if we go by WAR, if we go by WAR, he's 4th.
Fourth?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
very good.
Very good. Getting into Alex Jackson, don't look at the major league numbers. Just don't. Just don't. He's a 27-year-old catcher. Probably was just a 40-man dump. I will say, have you seen his AAA numbers?
I looked at it quickly when the trade broke. I think they were solid.
Using TJ stats, his AAA numbers are a sea of red. The only issue is his plate discipline is god-awful.
Oh, boy.
It's just not good whatsoever. He whiffs a bunch, doesn't make good swing decisions, can't... Just stuff along those lines, which are part of the reason he's not been a good major league hitter. Because he's just not... It's very easy to fool him. And that just gets... What's the word? Not exposed, but like... It gets exponentially worse in the major leagues.
Yeah.
So...
Taken advantage of, I guess?
Yeah, kind of. But...
Yeah.
Not a good catcher. Or not a good offensive catcher. I don't know much about him defensively. Yeah. But... It's whatever. He may not even make the team, so I don't really care. Like, if he doesn't make the team, you don't care.
You got options for catcher, at least backup, I believe. So it's not like
you do have a couple of options at the backup catcher. You could just sign someone in spring training. I don't really care, but getting into kind of just the projected bullpen. So the first two guys, I'm very confident where they are. Then everyone else, I kind of just where I would put them. So Devin Williams is the closer. Luke Weaver is seventh man. Very confident in those two. Then I put Fernando Cruz third just because of how disgusting that splitter is. Then Loaiza, Cousins, Leiter, Efros, Hamilton, and then a couple other guys that are on the 40-man roster that I think are on kind of like the bubble to make the bullpen. Clayton Beater, Yandris Gomez, Will Warren, JT Brubaker. So you have a lot of options in the bullpen. One thing, did you notice anything about all those names I listed off?
I believe they are all right-handed pitchers.
Out of the 12 or 13 names I listed off, they are all right-handed pitchers. So I made a list of kind of just some of the lefties that I would look at. Tim Hill, bring him back. He's going to be cheap. You know he plays well. Bring him back. I don't think it happens, but the payroll's in a lot better spot than I thought it would be. Maybe Tanner Scott. A guy that I don't think is going to get much, that I think is a very good pitcher, AJ Minter. A guy that they may go for, Drew Smiley. He had a 3.84 ERA in 2024. A guy that I may have low-key really started to like, and I didn't think I would, Matt Moore. He had a 1.95 ERA in 2022, 2.56 in 2023, but then he had a 5 ERA in 2024. So he was just horrible this year. You see that a lot with relievers where they'll have 3 or 4 really good seasons and then just a god-awful season. So that's a guy I would very much so like. Then 3-time World Series champion Will Smith. So if I had to rank them in a vacuum, no money, throw out money, it would be Tanner Scott, Tim Hill, probably AJ Minter, Will Smith, Matt Moore, Drew Smiley.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think Drew Smiley would also kind of profile more as like a long relief guy.
Yeah.
Kind of like an innings eater, if anything.
Yeah.
I think that's what he was with the Cubs, if I'm not wrong. So
I could look that up. He also just has a sick name. Smiley.
Yeah. Drew. What a great name. But no, I think, look, the lack of lefties is completely offset by the amount of splitters and changeups that...
I was going to say that, too.
Yeah, that the Yankees have added. I mean, you look at Fernando Cruz, obviously we talk about a splitter. Devin Williams, if his changeup. Luke Weaver has a good changeup, too, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and then Loizaga, if, like, the sinker... He plays a sinker, right? Am I crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, like sinker, slider, that plays well against lefties as well. So, you know, it's not... The days of platoon splits, or kind of like platoon managing, if you want to call it that, yeah, are kind of slowly going out the window, because at the end of the day, you can just have a right-handed pitcher who throws, you know, a splitter or a changeup, something like that, which is just really good against lefties. I mean, David Robertson is the epitome of that. I believe his career numbers are better against lefties than righties.
They are.
But, because of just the way he pitches in his pitch mix, it just plays well against lefties. So at the end of the day, it's more so about the pitch mix and the shapes of the pitches, not really the handedness of the pitcher. So the Yankees don't necessarily need a lefty. I'm sure it would be nice for, like, a different look.
No, they need Tim Hill. They need Tim Hill.
Yeah? Just because of the weird sidearm, that's it.
No, not even that, because he was just a great pitcher when the Yankees traded for him.
Yeah.
If he cost you $2-3 million,
so
if he sucks again and he was a fluke, cut him. It's that simple. But no, those are kind of just some of the lefties I would definitely watch out for. I'll mention him now because he's in a trade. John King is another one that they could be looking for from the Cardinals. Trust me, I'll get into that in a minute. But speaking of another former Cardinal, Paul Goldschmidt. 1 year, $12.5 million deal. Before I get into the player, what is your thoughts on the deal?
Makes sense. I think the money is right around where I think it would be. Christian Walker got 20. I know we were texting about it. After Christian Walker only got 20 a year, I'm like, the only other first baseman who's going to get more than that is maybe Pete Alonso. But no, I think 12.5 makes sense. Carlos Santana basically got the same exact deal, a 1 year, $12 million from the Guardians.
That was low key a hometown discount though.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. So it makes sense. I think it's a good bet. I think the Yankees trust in. I'm sure you'll get into it, but the second half numbers, the batted ball data, and look, he's at the very worst. He was average last year. You can't say that about any other Yankees first baseman.
I don't think a single Yankee first baseman had a positive WAR.
That sounds right.
Yeah, but because you mentioned Christian Walker, why are all the Yankees targets going to rivals? Soto went to the Mets. Say what you want about that. Just for argument's sake, call it a rival. Garrett Crochet, I didn't really think they were that in on. He went to the Red Sox. Christian Walker to the Astros. So.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, but Carlos Santana, before I get into Goldschmidt as a player, I'd have rathered him, but I truly think it's a thing if Yankees would have had to give him like 16, 17 mil to get him, just to try and prime away from Cleveland. And at that point, I think you just sign Goldy. I think that's just a significantly better thing, but...
Plus, he's buddy-buddy with Aaron Judge.
I was about to say that.
Oh.
I think that's...
Stealing your thunder. I'm so sorry.
No, but you kind of set me up. Because everyone knows before the 2022 season, him and Aaron Judge sat down and they just talked swings. They just trained together. They fixed each other's swings. Both won the MVP that year. Do you think something like that happens again? Where Aaron Judge and Paul Goldschmidt sit down again and maybe he could help Goldy fix some of the issues with his swing? Because I think the biggest issue with Paul Goldschmidt is that he just is selling out for power too much. Which I'll get... I can just say that now. You look at a lot of the whiff numbers and stuff like that, it is going... The whiff percentage is getting higher, chase rate's getting higher, and it's because he just has to swing earlier, because he has to try and force to pull the ball. But even then, I don't think he should try to be a dead pull hitter at Yankee Stadium. because
Oh my God, no.
he hits the ball hard. He has good opposite field power.
Absolutely.
He shouldn't have to be a dead pull hitter.
Yeah.
And you look at the thing that I love the most is just the righty-lefty splits, because they could not hit a lefty to save their life. They had a negative record or sub 500 record by far against lefties. 134 WRC plus against lefties, 88 against righties. If you could get to call it league average against righties and then 125 against lefties, I think you have a pretty good first baseman, especially for the price that you're paying him.
Absolutely. The potential is there. Again, he had a better second half. The numbers against lefties are still really good. So, it's a good bet. I don't think it's, a necessarily bad deal.
Yeah. Because you look at the home road splits too. 85 WRC plus at home, 113 on the road. How that changes at Yankee Stadium, who knows? But he wasn't playing well at home. So that could be another thing like Bellinger, where it's just ballpark. I don't think it's nearly as bad as Bellinger, but definitely something to look at. Then,
I will say, because I'm looking at it now really quick, his bat speed did get better as the year progressed. He started at 72 miles an hour, but by September and October, he went to 72.6. But in June and July, his average bat speed was 73 miles an hour, and his fast swing rate, which is anything over 75, went up as well. So,
yeah.
Again, it still has some in the tank.
Part of that could just be selling out for power, which, because you look at a lot of the underlying numbers, 76th percentile expected slugging, 82nd percentile average exit velocity, 73rd barrel percentage, 92nd hard hit rate. So a lot of those numbers are really damn good. A lot of them are just awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I am biased because Paul Goldschmidt's one of my favorite players. I remember in 2018 saying that he's on a Hall of Fame track and everyone clowning me for saying that in my family. And you look at it, the average Hall of Famer for first base has about a 60 WAR. He's at 57, according to Fangraphs. So if he plays 2 more years, he's gonna get that to the average.
Yeah, he's got the MVP under his belt too, so that obviously helps.
And a lot of top MVP finishes as well too.
Right.
Almost No, because that's a knock on Lindor. I was gonna say almost similar to Lindor-esque, where he had a lot of top 5 finishes but never could win it.
Yeah.
So it's obviously, you know what I mean? Obviously take out 2022 for him, but because I go back and forth. Do you think he's going to be a platoon bat with Ben Rice?
I think there's obviously just speculation. I think they're going to give him a little bit of runway to kind of be the everyday first baseman. But if he starts not really producing against righties, I think it would be best from an organizational standpoint to at least let Ben Rice play a few days out of the week. Or, I think it'll kind of start that it's kind of like Goldschmidt 80-20. And then as the year goes on, it might be closer to 50-50. Obviously, depending on performance of both players. So, I would expect them to. I think it would be a smart move. Look, it's a 1-year deal. And unless you're going after someone next year, Ben Rice is your first baseman of the future. Again, unless they trade him for something or they try to go after another first baseman next year, he needs to play at the end of the day.
Murakami, come on down.
Exactly. He might be posted next year, but if that's not the case, you need somebody at least as a backup plan. And I think Ben Rice is that guy.
Yeah. Which I agree with, because my biggest issue with Ben Rice is that if you don't sign a first baseman, you have Ben Rice and then no one else. Right. Literally no one else. So that was the issue where I think Ben Rice is going to be a good, above average offensive first baseman in baseball. But if he isn't that, you are screwed. which is why I like Paul Goldschmidt, because I think at least one of them will have a good year.
Yeah.
So, because you also look at Ben Rice's AAA numbers. Thank you to TJ Stats. Red all across. The only thing that he isn't that good at is he was 42nd percentile max exit velocity, which cool, but he was 95th percentile and 90th percent exit velocity.
Right.
So he hits the ball hard consistently. He's just not going to hit a ball 120 miles an hour.
Right.
And you look at a lot of the other stuff. The only other things he really struggles at is like zone swing, which that means he doesn't swing a lot when the ball's in the zone.
He's very patient.
Very patient. Maybe yeah, and that reflects by his 100th percentile walk rate.
Yeah.
But also, he has a 90 percentile pull rate, 85th percentile pull fly ball rate. We just talked about Bellinger pulling the ball a lot at Yankee Stadium. Ben Rice is perfect for that. And just very patient hitter. I'm very excited for him. And he was obviously AAA, we know, is a very heavy run environment. He was a giant fish in a giant pond, which I think goes to say something. So,
and he still produced like pretty good contact quality in the
like the barrel rate I know was very damn good still.
Yeah, the barrel rate he wasn't qualified, so the numbers aren't there, but he's definitely upper 90s or not, like around 90%, 90th percentile. The hard hit rate was below average. The launch angle was above average. He didn't chase. He walked. He probably struck out a little more than he's used to. But again, you're going to see better pitching. So I think that's just going to take time. And then the expected slugging was still at 459. It's nothing to scoff at. And average exit velocity was at 90, which is, call it, 60th percentile.
Yeah.
So still some really good contact quality. I think the better pitching just caught up to him at the end of it.
Which is going to happen.
Right. He just started whiffing a lot and started striking out a lot. So, look, there's growing pains, but what he did was not nothing.
And I think part of it, too, is he had that 3 home run game, and then he fell off a cliff. David Cohn, I think it was David Cohn, there was someone that said it, that they would almost not want to throw a no-hitter in the middle of the season because just the adrenaline and the high they would get of that no-hitter, they would never be able to replicate that for the rest of the season. They would just fall off a cliff because of that. So I think some of that could have happened with Ben Rice, especially with that being his first major league season. So it's definitely not the thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You definitely can't scoff at it, but I don't want to say his ego got too big, but he may have just been like, oh my god, I'm that guy, I could swing at everything, and kind of just lost his approach.
Yeah.
Which happens. That's not a knock on Ben Rice. That happens all the time in baseball. So.
Absolutely.
But I am very excited for both of them, and Goldschmidt and Ben Rice, because I think both of them will have good years. Ben Rice, I'm still all in on. Unless you get like an elite first baseman in free agency next year, I would not hate Ben Rice the first baseman of the future.
Yeah.
Like, unless you get like a Murakami, I would bet my life it doesn't happen, but a Vlad Guerrero Jr., unless you get a guy like that, I am all in on Ben Rice for the future.
Absolutely.
So, moving into, before I get into the guy, I'm going to go into the Yankees projected lineup for now. A lot of people are penciling in Volpe at leadoff. No. He has to earn that, in my opinion. Because he's played good in the back of the order. They force him to lead off, and then he doesn't play well. In my opinion, Anthony Volpe has to earn the right to play leadoff, or to bat leadoff. You look at, or where am I right now? And this is more so because of lack of people, because I think they truly just don't have a leadoff hitter. I would put Jazz leadoff. And I think that a guy that low-key may end up being leadoff hitter halfway through the season is Jason Dominguez, just because of the plate discipline, the speed, the power. Just you almost get that kind of George Springer-esque.
Yeah.
Where it's like that, or Jose Altuve, kind of like that type of player. But I have Jazz at third, Judge in right, Cody Bellinger in center, Stan at DH, Dominguez at left field. And then these two are interchangeable depending on matchups. But I have Austin Wells at 6, Paul Goldschmidt at 7, Oswaldo Cabrera starting at second base at 8, Anthony Volpe at 9. So, obviously, depending on matchups, you may switch Waldo and Volpe, just kind of mini stuff like that. But that's where I would go because you also have a run of Dominguez. Wells is relatively fast for a catcher, relatively athletic for a catcher. Then take out Goldschmidt, but you have the 5 through 1, if you go at it that way. You have Dominguez, Oswaldo Cabrera, Anthony Volpe, Jazz Chisholm. You have a lot of athleticism there.
Yeah.
So, but they still do need to find a third base / second baseman because I love Oswaldo Cabrera. He should not be an everyday player. He's a utility player. That is when he brings the most value to this team. When he gets those spot starts, plays 2-3 days a week, even if that. But I guess I'll talk about it now. The rumors about Nolan Arenado. So the Yankees earlier in the offseason tried to trade Mark Stroman for Nolan Arenado, which I kind of feel like the Cardinals are stupid for not taking.
I mean, they're trying to salary dump. I don't understand why they would take on 18 mil.
You're also dumping 75 mil, though.
I mean, you don't know how much they're paying it down to.
Fair.
You know.
But looking at the deal itself, it's not actually 75 mil. I misspoke on that. But the rumors of him, there were rumors before Paul Goldschmidt got signed that if Paul Goldschmidt signed with the Yankees, that Arenado would waive his no-trade clause to go to the Yankees. And there was a lot of stuff last night about how Arenado was liking a bunch of comments Yankee fans were saying about get Arenado.
Oh no.
Or Aaron Judge was liking a bunch of Arenado posts.
It's over.
Yeah, I know, but
he's still a Yankee. Oh no.
There's an avenue where I could talk myself into it somewhat, very smallly, because the money isn't as bad as people think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's 21 and 25, 16 million, 26, 15, 27. I didn't know this, but when you get traded, your luxury tax hit gets recalculated. So when you recalculate that, it comes out to about 17 a year for the luxury tax hit.
Yeah, it's digestible.
It's a lot more manageable than the 25 a year.
Absolutely.
You're getting obviously still a guy that's an elite defensive third baseman. You are getting probably an average to barely above average at bat. I also just don't think his bat profile is that well at Yankee Stadium because he's a dead pull hitter.
Yes.
Which maybe because you look at his spray chart and the overlay, everything is literally right down the line. He's almost like Anthony Rizzo-esque.
Yeah.
Where he is so early on everything. So maybe because it is only 318 down the line. It's more when you get to that left center that it gets really big and gets the most cavernous part in baseball, but I'm not doing this trade. I'm just not. If you get John King back and you're not taking on that much money and let's just for argument's sake call it you're only paying $15 a year for the luxury tax hit, I don't think it's a bad trade. I just think there's better value in other places.
Absolutely.
And
you're really paying for defense at that point.
I know you don't like Arenado. I love Arenado a lot. He's one of my favorite players. If the Yankees get Arenado, they literally got 3 of my favorite players in baseball.
Dude, that lineup would be so good in
2019. Yeah.
Yeah.
But 2018, 2019, Cody Bellinger, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado were 3 of my favorite players in baseball.
Insane.
So
when you get 2019 Cole on top of that.
Oh my God, yeah. 2019 Luis Heel, fucking just 10 years old, but Jason Dominguez will literally be 15. I think they signed him at 16 in 2019.
It's like, oh, congratulations, thanks for signing. All right, you're playing tomorrow.
You're starting in center field for the New York Yankees, batting leadoff.
Get at it.
No, I wouldn't hate it. I just wouldn't do it because they do need like that big thumper. Yeah. Even though I say big thumper,
you can't even call it. Yeah, you can't even call it not a thumper anymore.
I still think the second base market's a lot better because I have no interest in Alex Bregman. I would rather trade for Nolan Arenado than sign Alex Bregman.
That's a take.
Because for the Yankees, because I think that his Bregman swing profile is even worse at Yankee Stadium, and Arenado's only 3 years. Bregman, I think, is going to be... How many years do you think he's going to get? Definitely 5+, right?
Probably 5+, yeah.
Like 5. I would much rather Arenado for less AAV for 3 years than Bregman for that much.
Yeah, I guess I could talk myself into that.
Because it also is a de-escalated contract, too.
Yeah.
Again, I wouldn't do it, but I'd rather him than Bregman. I also just think that Alex Bregman and Cody Bellinger in the locker room is going to be something to behold. So I just don't think he's a fit in the locker room.
Stan and Bellinger's already going to be.
That's for those that don't know. What's it called? Cody Bell. Well, no, it's fine because it's Giancarlo Stanton.
Oh.
Because Cody Bellinger's wife was Mike Stanton's ex. Mike Stanton was Giancarlo Stanton before he changed his name. But it's Mike Stanton, not Giancarlo Stanton, that dated her. So it's two completely different people.
It's a different life.
Cody Bellinger is probably so high he doesn't even realize the difference.
Yeah.
Which, if you want to crack up, look up Cody Bellinger, just high. And have you seen interviews of him talking about that? Where he's like, I'm not high. When I was 12 years old, you could find pictures of me. I looked the same exact way.
Dude.
Just the picture of him on the...
Where's Jackie gonna play?
Dude, the picture of him on the stoop of the dugout.
Oh my God.
With the Dodgers, with the hair, just the...
Dude.
I feel like that's one of the most iconic pictures in baseball history.
You're telling me a shrimp fried this rice?
You're telling me that a Ben fried this rice? But that's another reason why I want Ben Rice to start, because you get fried to rice. Or Rice picks up Fried on home runs.
If it's like a 3-1 put out, is it like rice fried or like a 1-3 put out with fried to rice? A fried rice put out?
Or if it's a 1-3-2, it's fried rice well. Fried rice wells.
Or
if it's a 9-1-2, it's a Judge fried rice.
Judge fried rice. There you go. That's it. We're cooking.
We're stupid, but I wouldn't hate it, Arenado, depending on how much money you're taking on. Also because I think there is something to they don't have that, like... He's like Correa, where he plays with that fire.
He brings an edge.
He brings an edge, but I think it's a lot different of an edge than like a Stroman or a Verdugo.
Yeah. Because
they're kind of just like assholes. Nolan Arenado is just a straight competitor. Like, he's not trying to be flashy. He's not trying to do anything he just wants to beat you down.
Yeah.
So I think that wouldn't be bad in the locker room, because you also do have a lot of good veterans in that team that you got to realize you have a lot of young guys starting. You have, right now, 4 young guys starting. I wouldn't call Jazz young, but relatively. Yeah. So, call it 5 young guys starting. They can learn... Wait. Wells, Dominguez, Volpe, Waldo... Yeah, 5. Even Bellinger's under 30.
Yeah.
So, you have a lot of young guys that can learn how to play from them. And even then, there's going to be conversations next year about George Lombard and Spencer Jones. So you got a lot of young guys that can learn from those veteran guys that I don't think is nothing. But where I would go, I don't think I can sing more of this guy's praises. Ha-Seong Kim, please, for the love of God, sign with the Yankees. Right now, his projected contract is $445. I would give him so much more than that. I may honestly give him like $460, $470.
Right.
Just, I think he's such a good player. I'm pretty sure he had a 6-WAR season like 2 years ago. You look at it.
He was really good.
He is almost a lock for a 3-4 WAR season every year. Absolutely. So, absolutely.
Playing multiple positions.
Multiple positions, too. I also think he slots right into leadoff. Frankly, because he doesn't strike out much. He gets on base at a really nice clip. And, of course, he has just a very nice contact bat. And the speed and all that. So, I don't think there's a better fit than Kim for this team right now. And you also have one of the most athletic lineups in baseball. If you sign him, dude, if you have Kim, Dominguez, Volpe, Oswaldo, and Jazz, dude, like,
I don't know about how much more, but Goldschmidt used to be like a sneaky stolen base guy.
I was about to say Goldschmidt steals 10 a year.
He does, yeah. So
he had 11 stolen bases last year.
Exactly. So
like, I was literally thinking about that yesterday. He is the definition of sneaky athletic.
Absolutely.
So and even Judge, like, I'm pretty sure he stole 15 or 16 bags, and I think it was 2022. So even then, you're getting a little bit of speed from him too. Wells, he went 50 for 50 in the minors before getting thrown out on stolen base attempts. So he also does have that stolen base ability in him.
Yeah.
This is a much different team if you get Kim. It's a lot more fundamental based. It's a lot more just running based, which I think would be good for this team. A lot more, because they could not manufacture runs. That was a big issue with this team where
run or bust.
You looked at them versus the Dodgers. The Dodgers would take the extra base, sack fly, stuff like the Yankees couldn't do that. So the guy that maybe I say Kim is a perfect fit. This guy I think is a really good fit too. Brandon Lau. He's only making $10.5 million this year. He has a 2026 club option for $11.5 million, $500K buyout. So another guy that's a flyer. You don't like him, buy him out for nothing. Obviously the swing, he kills the Yankees. Plays so well at Yankee Stadium. The only issue is that how many times have we seen a guy leave the Rays and they just turn into a pumpkin?
Yeah.
But
Brandon Lau, too, can't stay on the field for his life.
That's an issue, too. And he's not the best fielder. So, the guy, we've been saying it all offseason, that could also fit your second base role, Gleyber Torres.
That's at the end of the day, if you just need a second baseman, just re-sign Gleyber. He's a fine baseball player. Yes, he doesn't defend well. Yes, he's not a great base runner, but you know what you're getting. It's almost the same argument I have for Pete and the Mets. It's like, you know what you're getting. He's been around. You know he's probably liked in the clubhouse. I don't think people have had issues with him. I know the benching, a lot of people have been pointing to.
But he played well after the benching.
Right, I think
he
learned his lesson.
It worked!
Lack of a better term. So, like, you know Gleyber Torres. It makes all the sense in the world if at the end of the day it's, end of January and you still need a second baseman.
He's also going to be cheap. He's going to be cheap.
Yeah. I've seen and read nothing on the market for, forget about Gleyber, but like second baseman.
I will say the one thing with Kim, he's probably not going to be ready till mid-April because he did have elbow surgery. Or shoulder surgery. Shoulder surgery, my fault. Shoulder. I'm fine starting Oswaldo Cabrera for 2-3 weeks. I'm perfectly fine with that. I just don't want him to be an everyday starter for the rest of the season.
You just need Cabrera Bonds for a few days.
Dude, that's right. Okay. I'm about to sound like I'm contradicting myself, but Oswaldo Cabrera, when he got consistent playing time, was a very good MLB player. Was it a good bit, like a 115, 120 WRC plus guy. You get him a little bit, maybe he breaks out. You never know. And you find some way to play him every day. But I still would love Kim. If I had to rank the 4 guys, I'd probably go Kim. This is where it gets tough. Because of health, Glaber, Lau, and then Arenado. Because that is something about Arenado. Arenado is one of the most durable players in baseball.
Yeah.
I think that's another benefit of him, too, where he's just like... Because there was something that I think a lot of people want to talk about is like Soto pushed Judge to play every day. They pushed each other to play every day. Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt could have the same effect. Yeah. So, from a pure vibes and competition standpoint, I think Arenado's a good move. What you get on the field, I'm just not... Because if it gets to a point where it's a $15 million hit a year, and you give up nothing, you also get John King back, I like it. I do, but it wouldn't be my first choice. And because also Marcus Stroman, I don't see him being on this team opening day. They're going to find some way to dump at least half of his money. And the payroll's at a much better place than I thought it was. It's at $277 right now. So even say that you trade for Arenado. Say that it's that $17 million. You are at, very quick math, $294. Not bad.
Yeah.
And that also is including Stroman. Say that you trade away a minimum $10 million of Stroman's deal, then that's $284. You still have money that you can spend on relievers. You're under the Steve Cohen tax.
Yeah.
So they're in a much better spot than I thought they were.
Definitely.
And I also just got to know, small issue, why the hell do we not know Jonathan Loaisiga's deal yet?
It got announced by the team. But
it did.
Monetary, I don't...
It's not even on Spot Rack. Okay. It's nowhere. It makes no... Sorry, that's just... It's not going to be much, probably like $5 million. But
yeah.
Why has it not been... It doesn't matter, but... But no, I think the Yankees are in a very good spot right now. I think they have a lot of options, which is very good. I would kind of be shocked if we know who their second/third baseman is in the next week.
You would or wouldn't?
I would.
Yeah. That's fair.
Unless they're striking where the iron's hot and they trade for Arenado. That's really the only situation I see where they get their answer.
Right. That seems to be the only place of somewhat movement.
Yeah. Because they did try to trade for him, obviously.
Yeah.
Cardinals declined, whatever. But if they get like a Kim, a Lauer, a Glaber, I'd be shocked if it happens, honestly, before the new year.
Yeah. Especially, everything kind of gets cold around this time, too. Because of the holidays and everything. So, like, the only thing I remember vividly, I think it was Christmas Eve, Mitch Garver signed with the Mariners. Or it was something like that. It was just very odd. But, it usually doesn't happen.
And before I let you go, or before I let everyone, not Nick, because Nick, we're staying for the Mets episode, but I would literally, when I say sell my soul, anyone is available, if you could find a way, and I do not think it happens, if you could find a way to get Ketel Marte, I would die. I don't think it happens. I do not think, I think it's like, I think it's like a 0.001% chance. But if you
at least you're being realistic.
No, I do not believe it's going to happen one bit. But if you could find a way to swing that trade, holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like, I would be floored. Like, I did not think Luzardo was going to be traded. I think, and he obviously just did get traded.
Yeah.
I think it's 10 times less likely. And that may even be underselling
Luzardo has kind of always been thrown around. He's always been a trade candidate ever past 3 years.
To be fair, so was Ketel Marte. I've seen a decent bit of buzz last couple years.
The extension. I think the extension just throws that out the window.
Yeah, but
I got one question for you before I think we wrap things up here. Is this team better than last year? Currently constructed.
I think right now you're at about equal.
Okay.
It really just depends who they get for that last spot.
Right.
Is honestly, it really is tough. It depends who they get for that last spot in the bullpen, because I think the pitching is a lot better. Obviously a lot better because you're getting a full year of Cole, you're getting Max Fried. The bullpen, I'm a lot more confident going into it this year than I am last year. Because you didn't have a closer going into last year.
Right.
You didn't. Now you have arguably the best closer in baseball. The only place I'm not as confident in is the lineup, but I think the pitching makes up for it.
That's fair.
So
now, is this team better without Juan Soto?
I don't know, because we were texting about this a little bit. You don't know what happens if they do sign Soto. Because they said they were as interested in Fried as they are now, even if they did sign Soto.
Right.
So if you sign Soto and you sign Fried, Devin Williams probably still happens. Because you weren't... I'm pretty sure the money was neutral. And we're going to have to trade Nestor anyways. So that... it really just depends what else happens. I think Paul Goldschmidt still could have happened because they had to sign a first baseman.
Yeah, I definitely think Goldschmidt happens. I think the argument lies with the Fried, Williams, Bellinger.
Yeah.
I think Bellinger completely out the window.
Oh, yeah.
If Soto signed. But Fried and Williams I can see. I just find it a little more difficult to see Fried happening if Soto did happen.
Yeah. It really just is a thing of we'll never know. Because if it's a thing of like Bellinger and Fried, or not Bellinger and Fried, Soto and Fried, versus Fried, Williams, and Bellinger, I would take the Soto and Fried route. But it really just, we'll never know.
Yeah. For argument's sake, I'm just going to paint out a WAR picture. I'm using straight projections, not using last year, whatever. Fried is projected to be a 3.3 WAR. Williams, I took some liberty. He's projected to be exactly 1. I think more in like the 1.5 range. So I put him at 1.5 for argument's sake. And Bellinger is projected to be 2.5. So that's 7.3 WAR from all three of those players. Juan Soto is projected to be 6.8 WAR. So it's a 0.5 WAR difference.
And you're paying about the same You're paying about the same AAV.
Right. Between one person or 3 players. So.
And even then, I've talked a lot about Cody Bellinger. I think that's underselling it a little bit just because of the way his swing profiles. I see him as more of a 3-WAR player than a 2.5.
I can see that. I don't think it's out of the question.
I also think pitching WAR is so funky at times, especially because what WAR are you using?
This is F-WAR.
F-WAR goes off FIP, right?
Completely fit. Not completely, but it's very heavily favored FIP.
And Max Fried is a ground ball pitcher. Most of the time, they don't have the best FIP. Because they are ground ball pitchers. So I'd even argue 3.3 is a little low for Fried.
I think so as well.
I'd probably put him a lot closer to 4 just because of that. Because I bet you look at Frambler, I can actually say his name right, and Logan Webb, their WAR is going to be lower.
Yeah.
Or their F-WAR is going to be lower because they're going to have a higher FIP. But that's another reason why I love what they're doing with the defense. And another reason why I wouldn't entirely hate a Nolan Arenado move, because you have the best defensive infield in baseball. I don't think it's close.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you have 4 guys that could all win a Gold Glove. I think Volpe,
obviously.
You have 2 Platinum Glove contenders in Arenado and Volpe?
Yeah.
And I think Jazz is going to be an absolute stud at second base, and Paul Goldschmidt is going to be at least an average. He's very weird with his defense.
Yeah. He was average this year.
It's either he's average or he's absolutely elite. Yeah. So he's won 4 Gold Gloves, so who knows? Right. But I am very happy with what the Yankees have done this offseason. I'm very surprised that they've done this much after losing Soto.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's a very nice pivot at the very least. Like you said, I would probably agree that this team's probably around the same as last year. I don't think they got better yet. I still think there's a lot of question marks, and you are banking on 3 players performing well compared to call it the 1 in Juan Soto. So, again, I think they have a very good offseason. I think all the moves make complete sense, but I think I have a hard time thinking this team's better currently.
The only thing, the American League is wide fucking open.
And I think it's gotten worse, if I'm being honest. So, obviously, they have that coming into their hands.
So, because you look at, what was it? I think they won 94 games last year. I think right now they're at that point too. But if you add a Kim/Arenado and then a couple bullpen guys, I see them as a 96, 97 win team.
Yeah, a high 90, definitely.
So I think it really just, I'd say right now they're the same. Depending on what they add, they could be better. So.
Yeah, I agree.
I got nothing else. Let's do anything else.
No, that was really the last thing I got. So I think that's all we got for you guys here. Unless there's more breaking news, I think this is going to be the last Yankees episode of the year. Because Christmas, New Year's, travel, things, holidays, craziness. So, with that being said, thank you for everybody watching or listening from the entire year. Obviously, this year has been really big for us. So, thank you guys for that.
And please give us hate in our comments. Because that gives us... A lot of people have been. It gives us engagement. I'm not complaining.
We don't like our takes, and that's okay. We can agree to disagree. But... Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. As always, remember to subscribe and follow on Spotify and YouTube so you never miss an episode. Also, look for us on Apple Podcasts. Remember to follow us on all of our social media accounts at Triboro Podcast. You can find them below on the overlay and descriptions and all that. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. But yeah, thank you guys again, and we'll see you next year.
I'll see you in a year, guys.